Katie from the Fabric Squirrel. So today I'm going to show you how to make one of these gift bags. It's one of Stuart Hillard's panels, produced by the Craft Cotton Company, and lots of people have just asked for a video tutorial on how to make it, so I'm going to show you how to make it today. So first of all, what we need to do is cut around the black lines. I'm probably going to use a ruler and a rotary cutter, but you could use scissors as well. So I'm going to start off by doing that. Just bringing this in a bit closer so you can see what it is that I'm doing. If you haven't got a rotary cutter and a quilting ruler like this, and you do a lot of sewing, it's definitely worth the investment. So I definitely recommend getting one. I do a lot of cutting on this board, so I've got a massive dint at the 1 metre mark on here. I need to get myself a new cutting mat. Or if anyone's got any great ideas of how to fix it, I'd be greatly received. So you might have noticed that they have like a little indent in the middle. I'm going to save the scissors for this bit. So there we have our first one. And there's our second one. So we've got ballerina, fairy and nutcracker. We also need to cut out the bag handles, which are the red striped bits. This is why I like using a rotary cutter better. So much faster. 2, 3. And this one. 4. Since we're cutting out, I may as well do these at the same time. So, my small roll has fallen on the floor. So we've now got 2 bag fronts, 4 tags, 4 handles and our instructions. The next thing that we need to do is to make the interfacing on it. We need to make that to size. So I use that all the time for my keepsake quilt. So I have a massive roll on it, but you can buy it by the metre. Quite cheap, sort of from £1 a metre. This is medium weight, 100% cotton. There are various different types, but generally if you go medium weight, you'll be just fine. So I'm gonna work out what's going to be the best way of laying these out. Getting the most out of the interfacing. That's my cat meowing outside because she wants to come in the craft room, but she's not allowed. I think this is going to be plenty enough. You know what, I've definitely got some scraps that one of those will be able to fit on. So yeah, that's definitely under a metre that you'll need, but over half a metre. So if when you do go and buy it, you'll need about a metre. So what this is going to do is just going to give the bag some structure, so it's not all floppy, it's going to make it stand up and hold its shape a bit better. I add it to loads of things. I use it, like I said, I use it for my keepsake quilts because baby clothes tend to be stretchy and it just keeps them all in shape. All interfacing will have different instructions, so make sure you follow it, but you might be able to see there's a shiny side and a not shiny side. The shiny side is the one with the blue on, so don't put your iron on that side. Definitely done that before. smaller scissors for getting in just little bits like this. I'm going to find some scrap pieces for those. Now these, what I think will be easier is actually just to measure them. So they're 2 inches by 14 inches. So if we find 14, go straight across with that, and then can just do 4 lots of 2 inches here. One more. There we go. So that's all of those. Oh, definitely not fit on. Oh, that totally will. Yes. Okay. That one's a bit more fiddly, so I'm going to come back to that one. But it will all fit in that one piece, so that's good. Now you don't want the inside of your bag to just look like a faded version of the outside. So what you also need to do is create a lining and use your front piece as your template for that. Now I've chosen this coordinating gift tag fabric from the same range by Stuart. I thought it was just the perfect one to go inside a gift bag, being that it was all gift tag shaped. I've lined it up so the straight edge is along the seam allowance. Cut that a bit off first. So these will be sewn right sides together. I've done a cut it just so I can see the picture, but they should be the same on each side anyway, so it shouldn't make any difference. You just need to repeat that with the other side. Okay, so you should now have 2 outside parts, 2 lining, the same again in interfacing, 4 bag straps and then 4 strips of interfacing as well. So now what we need to do is iron the interfacing to the straps and the front of the bags, and then we'll do that. So we'll do that next. Okay, so we're going to iron the interface along now. So you want the wrong side of your fabric panel and the shiny side of your interfacing down. Now line it up as neatly as you can. If there are any bits that overlap, you don't want to be getting glue on your ironing board, so have a pair of scissors handy. If anything, you want your interfacing to be slightly smaller rather than larger. So you want a medium heat, no steam. Although do check the instructions of your individual interfacing. I use this stuff all the time, so I'm sort of familiar with how this one works, and it doesn't take that long to stick. Getting there. Okay, so it's now become one piece, much stiffer fabric. So we're going to repeat that on the other side, on the other gift bag. So with the gift tags, if you have a look on my blog, last year I showed you how to make the stocking from last year's range, and that came with tags as well. And I showed you how to do block printing. So if you've never done that before, that's a really fun new craft to try. So you could give it a go. It's still up there, it was last year's, but it's still up there. So you could either use block printing and just some plain fabric on the back of these, or you could just use a fabric pen. If you've got a permanent fabric pen, you could write a little message, so you can attach them to the bag with a message on. But if you make it detachable, they'd make good decorations as well. They could hang them up every year on the tree, or just take the bag back and give it again next year. So there we go, so you'll probably just need, I'd probably just go white to back these with. So use those as a template again to make white backings. Now we're going to do some sewing. So the first sewing that we're going to do is the bag straps. Nice and easy. We're just going to fold them right sides together long ways, and we're going to sew along here. And with the bags, we're going to fold them right sides together, line up the edges, and we're going to sew along the two edges here first of all, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and start those now. Okay, so we're ready for sewing. So as I've said, we want to fold them right sides together. We're going to line those side edges together like this and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Sew along the line. So that's one edge done. Now, some of my interfacing's not exactly the same size as the fabric, but you can still see the fabric, so use the black line on the fabric as your guide, as the edge, not the interfacing. explain to you what to do with the fully cut out bits. You need to do is turn it sideways so you've got your side seam, and you need to match up the straight edges here. So when that turns out, it's going to be box shaped. When I've sewn it together, it will make more sense. I'm just going to put that seam open as well. I am going to backstitch on these ones because they're not going to be sewn into any edges. So that's one side. The other side. So when you stand it up now, you have bag. See, this is inside out still. So we're going to do the straps, and then we're going to repeat this process with the lining as well. So that's what I'm going to do next. So straps go right sides together, sew along the long edge. So I am going to use a loop turner to do these. It's so much easier than using a safety pin. So you push it all the way through. There's a hook on the end, so you need to hook your fabric, make sure you've got it nice and tight. And then getting it started can be a little tricky. But once it's going, you just pull it through. Ta-da! So those will need pressing. I'm going to press so that the seam is in the middle, and then they'll just need top stitching. You could just top stitch, or if you've got some nice ribbon or rip rack or something, you could sew that down the centre. That'd add a bit of extra stiffness and prettiness as well, so that's an idea. So I've pressed my straps and I've top stitched one already, so that's one that's top stitched. I'm just going to do this one. So what I'm going to do, it's got white in it and I use white, I just have white in my machine, so that's what I'm sticking to. It's got red and pink, so you could use either. As close and as even as you can. Just do a stitch all the way down both edges. Up until now I haven't used any pins, but you definitely need pins for this part. So I'm going to have turned my lining to the right way. My front is still inside out. You need the right sides to be together for sewing it. So place your lining inside of your gift bag. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the seams. And I'm going to pin them together. I'm going to do it with the seams open. So that's one side. Okay, that should also help you get it nice and straight. We need to pin the straps in now. It says to do it 2.5 inches from each edge. I'm taking the edges, not including the red border that's on the side. Two and a half is there. Mark that with a pin. Now your straps need to go inside the bag. Don't make the mistake of sewing them like this, because that seems right, because then they're going to be inside the bag when you turn it out again. They need to go in between the layer of the lining and the front, and you want the seam at the back to be facing the lining. So I'm going to say that the centre of the strap is at the 2.5 inches mark. And then I've pinned those 3 layers together. So you've got the outside, the strap and the lining. I find the upper end of my strap, make sure it doesn't twist in the process, and then do the same 2.5 inches from the other side. Cat's meowing outside again, feeling left out. We see have a room full of fabric, so I don't like him coming in. Okay, so we just need to repeat that on the other side. Could measure again, or what I'm probably going to do is just make sure it matches up with the other side. Okay, so I've now got those pins in, and I'm gonna now sew 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the edge, but make sure you leave a gap because we're going to need to turn it out. I'm going to near the edge. So I'm going to start here. Now I'm going to back stitch over the straps just to reinforce it, to make them strong. Break right at the end, so that's a good place to stop. Take your pins out. I'm going to turn it out. So first it's going to look like this, then you're going to push your lining back inside. Like so. So I'm going to press this now and then top stitch around the top, and that will capture the bit that's left open as well, and then it's done.